Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown, and my wingman, my man, the number one guy I know, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Wingman Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown. My wingman, my friend, my main man who watches my six is Dr. Paul Thompson. Hello, brother Paul. How are you?
Well, Commander Drew, it's good to see you this morning. I'm doing very, very well. Glad to wake up. I'm feeling good. And I'm kind of inspired by a George Foreman quote. I remember reading one of his books years ago or something. When you get knocked down on the canvas, make sure you get up one more time than you were ever knocked down.
Nice quote. All right, well, then let me hit you with this quote. We'll have two quotes this show.
Right?
What the new year brings to you will depend a great deal on what you bring to the new year. And that is by Vern McLean. One more time. What the new year brings to you will depend a great deal on what you bring to the new year. Meaning, Paul, it's about you. You have to have good energies to get good energy. You have to give people respect to get respect. And if you want this new year to bring you something special, then you got to bring something special to the new year, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And, it's good to have resolutions, but the fact is, most people don't make it to the first month, to the first week. It sounds good. You got to be consistent. And if you want to be good at something, you got to be consistently good, or at least practice until you get consistently good, and then you get great.
That's 100% correct. That's like George Foreman said, you just got to get up one more time. All right, the name of our show this week is 70 the New 50. It takes longer to get stronger. Well, if you can see my shirt, I said I'm ride or die until 9 o'clock. Well, that's about it. I think I just turned 70. And to be honest with you, my attitude, the way I look, the way I feel, other than my shoulders and my knees, I feel like I'm 50 years old, Paul. What about
That's
you?
good. I'm the same way. I got you by a year. And for some reason, the words of the great grand Ayatollah pop in my mind. And he would say something like, "Hey, you turned 70, look a day over 69 and three quarters." But that's not true. It's good. I feel pretty good. I don't wake up a lot of aches and pains. The knees don't bend like they used to. That is the biggest difference I find. And for the most part, you slow down a bit, but I can still do a lot of stuff that most of my contemporaries can't. That's not because of any superior ability. I think it's more consistency. I never really stopped 100%.
Well, I think, Dr. Paul, the real truth of this is we look after ourselves. We eat good, we exercise, and I think we think good. And remember the four things that the blue zones, and the blue zones are where the oldest people in the world live. The four things in the blue zones are move your body, eat good food, have good friends, and most importantly, have purpose. The Wingman Show has given us purpose to bring good news to the people. But this whole when I was young, a 70-year-old person seemed so old. And now that I'm 70, I don't feel that old. I'm telling you, it's other than body parts. I bet you medical advances, when I get two new shoulders and two new knees, I'll be like I'm 30.
Well, that could be. Remember, it was the rock and roll guy Rick. No, who is it? Mick Jagger. I think he was one that popularized the thing when he was young. Said, "Never trust anybody over 30." Okay, he's in his 80s now, and he's still doing shows. So at whatever age you're prejudiced against, when you get that age, you typically add 5 or 10 or 20 years to it.
No doubt. I think a positive attitude is one of the most important parts to feeling young and being young. And I don't call it years. You know that. I call it time on planet. And with more time on planet, you get wiser. With more time on planet, you think differently. And I think, I always wanted to work out, and I only worked out when I had to, whether I was playing sports or I was in the military. When I was in the Navy, Gunnery Sergeant Clark made sure I worked out. But now I do it on my own. And it's not how hard I work out that has really gotten me to this place. It's consistency, Paul. I do
Yep.
it 5 days a week.
Yeah, that five days is a very, very good target. The thing is to do it, and your attitude is important. Your attitude will help your workouts too. It really will. I mean, because you can make yourself your bad attitude, you can actually make yourself sick. And I've known people done that. There's nothing physical wrong. They've made themselves sick, and then it made themselves well when their attitude changed. They got all these illnesses, and it's half was mental.
Well, that's perfect because I was just going to bring up, some people grow up to be grumpy old people and they
Right.
just become grumpy because their attitude changes and they're mad with life. They're mad with their place in life, where you need to have joy in your heart and you need to find things to give you joy. And that's having things that are important, like health and family and a good state of mind. Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be just mumbling and muttering off to yourself. Although everybody does that, I've done that a bit, but not all the time.
That's true. I've become a grumpy old man, and I had to think what I was doing and what I was saying and stop it and just become a happy young man. All right, let's talk about some good news here, Paul, because that's what our show is about. There's enough bad news out there. So let's start off real quickly. Japan just gave $2 million to LA. LA had a horrible fire and it destroyed so much property and so many lives. And nobody would ever tell you this. We had to dig for this. Japan gave $2 million. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's super nice. That doesn't get reported too much. Usually we think in terms of the United States, giving out a lot of money, right? But now someone has contributed to the U.S. You know where I heard that before? Remember Hurricane Katrina? You should know the name Katrina. I
Yes.
think it was, is this the Sultan or the leader of Qatar that flew in and he made some massive donation. I remember with 2005, 2006, something like that. Didn't get a lot of press, but some people do, from other countries will do that, make that kind of contribution.
Yeah, it's a lot of good things happen all the time, but that Japan giving 2 million, that's a great good news story. How about
Yeah.
this one? We just read that it's going to be possible maybe to grow adult teeth again. And they've done studies. There are animals that actually regrow their teeth, and they're looking for these cells and they're looking for different scientific ways that one day you may be able to grow teeth again.
They may be able to do that with using stem cells and some other genetic manipulation. Because I guess there are a number of animals, like you said, that regrow teeth all the time, but that stops in humans. We get like one shot at it after the age of 6. Your baby teeth go out and your permanent teeth come in, and that's it. Some way I guess they want some way to keep that process going, a 2-step process going a little bit.
Well, Paul, there's a really good news story that I want you to start off. It's about sports, and both you and I were big time into sports, but this is a story that I just think is wonderful. I want you to start off with telling me the situation.
Okay, all right. Do you watch football?
I watch football.
Okay, this is kind of a football story without getting too deep into the weeds on it. Um, you remember the wide world of sports. I think one of the taglines was the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Remember that?
Yes, when the guy would fall down that mountain when he was skiing,
You're
like
right.
they said, the agony of defeat, and
Yeah.
he would just tumble down that mountain. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And the music would go da da da, it's just falling down. Well, this is kind of an agony of defeat where there was a very, very big football game and the team behind just needed a guy to catch one pass and they would tie the game and have the chance of winning and going on to do great things. Anyway, this certain player, it was a star, he actually caught the ball. He caught the ball. They made this play work perfectly. He caught the ball, sort of. he didn't catch it 100%. He caught about 90%. The other 10%, he dropped it, and they were basically out. That was it. The season was done. Thank you very much. Did you know that guy? People get a little crazy about sports. He received like a whole lot of death threats.
Yes, I heard that.
These are low vibration people, but there are folks that do that. Long story short, the opposing team they had like a fan base that had a practice of making some kind of donation to the losing team. Anyway, they found the guy that, this losing team guy had a charity, and they contributed some money to the charity, just kind of as a lark. So they did like a GoFundMe, and they were going to raise $5,000 for his charity. You know how much they actually raised for his charity?
Yes, Paul, they raised $140,000. And it's important that you say that this was an extremely big football game. This wasn't small. This was a big time football game. And you talked about when people lose, they get death threats and everything. Do you remember when the soccer player, it was in the World Cup, and a Brazilian soccer player, the goalie, by mistake, kicked the ball into his own goal? That night at a disco, somebody shot him 9 times and killed him. So sports can go totally the other way.
I
This
remember.
time, I just think it's wonderful. Matter of fact, the charity that this guy had, he has type 1 diabetes, and they picked up $140,000 to give to this charity, even though he lost. And I know he'll feel bad for a long time about dropping that ball. And he's a good player also. But how about another team, actually, not the team, but the fan base giving that money? That was good, wasn't it?
Yes, that was unexpected good news, and probably helped him a lot.
It sure did. Well, everybody, can you see these badass airplanes? I was going to say jets, but I'm the only one who have jets behind me. Dr. Paul has a SPAD 13. It's very pretty, but it's an incredible airplane that's a lot older than the ones I have behind me, which is my A6, and then Dr. Paul's A7s, as you can see below the A6. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching the Wingman Show. Thank you for listening to the Wingman Show. Thank you so much for your support on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. We really do appreciate it. Also, we have a newsletter, and that newsletter comes on wingmanshow.com. That's our website, wingmanshow.com. And we were talking about is 70 the new 50. Well, the newsletter this week is how to stay younger as you get older. How to stay younger as you get older. And another thing on this website that we have that we love is our frequent flow line. And that's where you can ask Dr. Paul and myself any question you'd like. And I have a great letter, Paul. I have a really nice letter today from an older, well, not older because we're about that age, a woman, 72, from Philadelphia. She writes, I really love you, men. Very nice. You represent the best of us. My issue is family not calling me. I really don't like bothering my children, but it seems if I don't call or FaceTime them, we wouldn't communicate much. I love them and my grandchildren so much. I just wish we could spend more time together. Love the Wingman and the show. God bless you both. Dr. Paul, I'm going to throw this to you.
Okay. Well, so the lady in Philadelphia, 72. You're not all that old than me. Maybe probably by a few months at the most. Thank you for the kind words. If your loved ones are far away, I know how that can be. I actually have relatives around the world. My family is kind of a blended family internationally. I was actually the firstborn, I guess, U.S. citizen of the group. So I've got family all over the place, and I know it's hard to see them. I bet you're closer. I would say more likely if you're not hearing from them, the younger people, they're probably busy with life, and sometimes we can get too busy and forget about those who are around us. They're probably thinking about you, but they're so busy. And I found that was the case when, when my parents were alive. So I would say, use the technology. You've got FaceTime. That's a wonderful thing. I use it myself. It does help. It's not the same as being there. I guess you want some contact. So, initiate it and tell them, hey, why don't you call me every whatever feels good to you, a week, every 2 weeks or so. Or maybe you can set up a routine time, talk on Sunday night or sometime when the kids are available and everybody can do it. Yeah, we all get kind of caught up in the busy life, even retired. You can get too busy for some things and you have to really sit down and take notice of what's important. So maybe just give them a little, not a guilt trip. Give them a little memory jogger. Say, hey, it'd be nice to hear from you a little bit more. And see what the response is.
That's a great answer, Dr. Paul. You reminded me of when I went to New Mexico State when I first went away to college. I called my grandmother, and you're talking about Jewish guilt. I called my grandmother, and she says, "How come you haven't called me in so long?" I said, "I'm sorry, Bubba, but I've been studying, I'm working, I'm practicing, I'm playing ball." She says, don't worry about it. Save your dime. I'll be dead next week. Don't worry about it." So that's a little Jewish guilt.
That's a good one. I like that. That's good. That's
Yeah.
very John Rivers.
Well, the truth is, I want to let you know, first of all, you are not old. 72, remember? That's like 52 now. It's hard to be a parent of a grown up. You when you have young children, you think it's really hard to change diapers, to take them to school, to do this, to do that. That's easy. Having a grown up child is very, very hard sometimes because you have grown up problems. What I did is I have two children, I have two families. I feel the same way you do. The point is, I taught my children to be their own nucleus. Sometimes parents hold on too long and they're trying to make their life their children's life, and that's not fair. That's not fair at all. You should have your own life. So if you're the nucleus, our children, I have a spine surgeon as a son, and I have an attorney as a daughter, and they have their own lives and they have their own things. And I was thinking about when I didn't call Bubba, I thought about her, but I just didn't have the time and just didn't actually, I had the dime, but I just didn't have the time to call. So one of the things that I think that would be good, and I think Paul just said it, is maybe you can make an arrangement for a certain time once a week to get a phone call. So then you're not expecting to get calls all the time. So you're not waiting. And then you can save up maybe some of the stories you want to say, maybe once a week, and get with your children then about once a week. Do you like that, Paul?
The schedule is a good idea. I think you can. Something you can both agree on.
No doubt about it. It is hard to be a parent of a grown up. All right. And you know what that's going to bring me to? That's going to bring me to a Wingman PSA. From the 11 facts in life, under fact number 5. Know the rules. They change with the game. Know the rules. They change with the game. That's an important fact right there, Paul. You ever seen people come to work and they say, well, we didn't do it like this in the job I had before. Well, guess what? You don't have the job that you had before. You have this job. And one of the points was when we went in the Navy, I knew nothing about flying an airplane. I could hardly spell aerodynamics, to be honest with you. I knew nothing about flying an airplane. So when I learned to fly, I learned to fly the Navy way. The point is, there were a bunch of guys in my class that actually had private pilot licenses, and they didn't do so well in flying. And the reason was they had bad habits. And they would tell instructors, well, we used to do it this way, we did it that way. And that actually hurt them. So just think about this. If you have the strongest, fastest, highest jumping, smartest athlete in the world, and you put him on a basketball court without telling him the rules, he wouldn't last 2 minutes. So it doesn't matter how much the quality of your fitness, the quality of your expertise, you have to know what you're doing. You can't pick up the ball and just run. That's called walking. You can't hit people. That's called fouls. And after 5 of them, you got to leave the game. What do you think about know the rules? They change with the game, Paul.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you got to know the game. You got to know where you are. It can all change. That what your story was. What you talked about being in the Navy. I was told there's three ways of doing things in life. There's a right way, there's a wrong way, there's a Navy way. I still remember that, and it's kind of true. Yeah, civilian flying. I mean, I had a private pilot's license too. There's very different types of flying. It's like, working on a dog's teeth may be different than working on a person's teeth. Maybe different than working on a senior citizen's person's teeth. You need to know the rules and conduct yourself accordingly. Especially if you're being paid by somebody. Work the people who write the paycheck. Maybe you want to follow their instructions, unless you get entrepreneurial spirit and you get that money coming in. That's just common sense.
That's right. In order to change the rules, you have to know the rules. That's how you actually can change a rule that you think is wrong. You got to know exactly what those rules are. And you got to also remember that sometimes within the game, playing the same game, the rules change. Like in basketball, now they have a 3-point line. Before they didn't have it. You have to know the rules and change with the game because, be honest with you, life is a continual change. Everything changes and you need to be flexible. All right. Dr. Paul, let's give him some gouge. And gouge is shit you need to know. We learned that word in the Navy, gouge. Fitness around the world. Usually Americans want to get fit, they go to a gym. They get a pass, they go weekly, they go daily. They usually go to a gym. Well, guess what, Paul? Around the world, they do it differently. Did you know that?
Yes, yeah. Some people don't have gym and they're tremendously fit.
That's very true. So let me just give you 3 countries that have had a different attitude about working out. And the first one is Finland, believe it or not. They believe in walking, no matter whether it's freezing, the snow is blowing, they believe in walking. And that's something that's in their culture. So that's how they stay fit. What do you think about Finland, Paul?
I noticed that. I was in Finland one time for about 3 weeks or so, and I did notice that people, they walked a lot and they walked very quickly. They were very big. They're very tall people, male and female, very tall, and they walk very, very, very quickly. And so, well, this was a different pace. It was faster than the New York pace, which I think is pretty fast. And it worked for them. I didn't see a lot of out of shape people, as I recall.
All right. How about this one, Paul? In Japan, back in 1920, they founded something called Radio Taiso, and that's a 3-minute exercise routine that they play every single day. So Japanese people believe that short bursts of exercise is just as good as working out 2 hours in a gym twice a week. So they actually do this. It's a 13-move calisthenic routine, and all of them do it. It's a national thing that they do this exercise daily. Did you
You
know
know,
that?
that sounds to me like a variation of what they call HIIT, high intensity interval training. Maybe it's not super high, but high enough. Like, quick, quick, quick. You do stuff maybe like 30 seconds and do something else. 30 seconds. You can get worn out by something like that.
No doubt about it. And 30 seconds is way better than no seconds. But what they really have is continuity. Like I said before, they do it every single day. Now, in the United Kingdom, they work out different also. They work out as a community. They have a lot of neighborhood runs, they have a lot of neighborhood games. People actually work out together in the United Kingdom, and that's kind of their culture. What do you think?
That's good. That's making it festive. I think Brazilians may do that kind of stuff too. I'd seen them on the beach. You notice you get these jujitsu champions and all these people. They don't have a lot of equipment. A lot of them are very poor, but they would typically have like sand on a beach, run in the sand, and have a pull-up bar, and that was about it. Other than that, they were just you know hitting a soccer ball, simple things with bare feet.
Was Wasn't it Herschel Walker? That he had a really strong looking body, but he did nothing but sit ups and push ups. Isn't that
Yeah,
true?
body weight. Yeah, body weight calisthenics. Yes, he was tremendously strong. Bowled his basically a bowling ball through people. I don't think he didn't believe in weights.
Yes, and you don't need weights, you don't need a gym, you don't need that to work out. You have to have a good attitude, some sneakers, and a road that you can walk on, a floor that you can do push-ups and sit-ups on, find a bar to do pull-ups on, and you can get really, 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 really in shape doing those things. All right,
Okay.
the name of our show is called The Wingman Show. And the reason for that is that we always like to highlight wingmen. And I have a good wingman for you this week. His name is Tony Clark. He's Australian. And his goal, has invented something called a backpack bed. It only weighs 6.6 pounds, so it's very light. It's a bed that the homeless can now carry around. And he wants to make it, for some reason, he's in Chicago. He wants to make sure that every homeless person, and I mean people who sleep in the streets, has a bed. And he's invented this bed with a silver bottom. The bottom is silver. So he said you can put this bed on ice, on cement, and you won't freeze. Actually, you'll get warm. But this is a very intriguing thing, Paul. Tell me about this bed. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. Apparently, he's been doing this for a few years in different places, and unfortunately, with the economy and homelessness in this country as well as others, that's a thing that will be needed. Hopefully, not forever. But it's good that a person can get some kind of sleep, some kind of rest. Because you've seen a lot of homeless people on the street here and there, and they look like their lives are miserable and in doorways. If you think about it, how can you get any real rest? You really can't get rest. Your body's just going to break down. And if they get no reprieve, no rest, they'll just die regardless of what age they are. So at least
True.
they can put their head down for a minute and get a cat nap or something so their body can actually heal a bit.
If you look at some of the unfortunate people, it's actually the opposite of our title. 50 is the new 70. It's 70 is the new 50. And that's a terrible thing. You have to take care of yourself. But as far as cost, do you know that each one of these backpacks costs $124? It saves $3,319 every homeless person that you'd get off the street. How about that for saving some money? And I do want to read you a quote. And this quote was by somebody who got one of these backpack beds. And he said, "This backpack bed is the first step toward regaining my pride, dignity, and self esteem. I spent 2 nights in the bitter cold, feeling awful. I had a good night's sleep last night and no longer worry about a safe and comfortable night's sleep. So I can concentrate on rebuilding and getting my life back on track." And I think that's a wonderful statement here, Paul. There are people who are very unfortunate, but if we give them a little help, a little push, and that's what the Wingman Show is trying to do. We're trying to make this world and our country a little bit better by giving out some good news and some good tips. Well, anybody out there who can hear my voice, whatever you think is important, whatever you think is beautiful, and especially whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew. It's good talking to you. And to all those who listen, like, and share our message, we appreciate you. Please, if you watch us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. You'll get a notification every time we put out a new episode. Also helps the algorithm to spread things. Most of you are not subscribed, so please subscribe. It would help us out a lot. And maybe other people. Share this with somebody you know, somebody you like, somebody you don't like. It may make them less grumpy. You never know. But we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com altogether. wingmanshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.